Do we need to introduce any of our affiliates?
We're at the end.
Oh, at the end, okay. Does that picture, in fact, perhaps I should stand in front of the camera there since we are live. But does this picture give you any flashbacks as to how you may have felt during the transaction? Yeah. So let me just say from the outset, you are going to teach this class. You're all realtors. I have an experience that is, of course, my experience, but we have a room full of professionals in our marvelous industry. So you are going to share your stories because I want to learn from you. I want to learn from you. So this training, first and foremost, is interactive. And let me just say briefly that we are in a sector where the devil quite often is in the details, right? In the fine print. Building trust in every transaction. Does trust matter when we are in a deal? Is it important to find a way to build trust with the other side and with our clients in a transaction? We're going to talk about how we can do that in just a bit. Let me just briefly say that it is my greatest privilege to be a part of this extraordinary brokerage. I love Presidio. I don't know about you, but I love Presidio. I find it to be one of the greatest gifts I have been given in my career, to find a brokerage that fits my spirit. Some of you come from other larger brokerages, and we're going to talk about some examples and some stories about some of what you experience. There's no such thing as a bad brokerage, but there is, and perhaps if you can remember this, there is such a thing as a good brokerage versus a great brokerage. Would you agree with that? Yeah. So, Rob, thank you for having me. I am an absolute fan of Presidio. I talk about Presidio in all of my dealings. So, again, it is a gift to be here, and you are in for what is an absolute fun journey, a fun career going forward. By way of agenda, we'll just introduce our topic briefly. We will develop some understanding around the problem of engaging one another in our sector, in our industry. What are the pluses to being civil and kind? That's right. That's right.
Level of like respect, like, all right, well, that's tough, but you and I got it together.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? It absolutely does. We're going to consider some common misconceptions that agents actually walk around with. Quite interesting. And there are some strategies that we can employ in our daily business and in our daily mindset. As realtors, we're going to take a brief look at that. And then a quick case study that we will discuss together. I want your input. I need your thoughts and ideas. Again, you get to teach this class. I'm here to facilitate a discussion, but your experiences are critical. to our visit this morning. Okay. So I may have to put my little readers on. We're going to start on the left side here. So just by way of brief definitions, what is civility? Oh, my friend Tina is here. Oh, okay. We can actually officially start now. Tina's in the house. I love it. And I have to ask, who is this wonderful young lady we have here this morning? Aha, wonderful. Well, Miss Harper, you can participate as well, because we're going to talk about some things that even you can understand, okay? So what is civility? Polite and respectful behavior towards others, particularly in situations where people might have differences. Would you agree with that overall? Sounds okay. What is kindness? By way of a brief definition, going beyond basic respect to show genuine concern and compassion for others, actively seeking ways to make others feel valued and appreciated. When I enter into a real estate transaction, there's a mindset that I consciously embrace from the very beginning of the interaction. It is that although I represent the interests of my client, this is why they hire me, and I'm licensed as their fiduciary to represent them in this transaction. However, I have in mind that I'm going to have a friend on the other side after this is all done. I'm going to have a friend after it's all done, even though we will negotiate hard on behalf of our clients. We will have some tough moments. I want this person in my life after this transaction. Interesting. My first broker taught me that we are in a sector as professionals where we have the extraordinary privilege of serving the public. That doesn't mean we become enemies. We are not adversaries in a real estate transaction. It's an absolute shift in your mind. My first transaction, I have to admit, I was terrified. Who was scared during the first transaction? Well, you've got guts, because I was terrified. In fact, the other agent would call me. I'm like, should I pick this up? Like, what do I say? How do I even talk to them? What if they're upset? It was scary. It was scary. Now it's a joy. It's an absolute joy to see their names come on my phone, because we get to create something beautiful together for our clients. We get to do it together. Within the context of our industry, the unique pressures and competitive nature of real estate makes it so that we need civility and kindness in our business. Would anyone disagree that there's pressure in our industry, in our business? Tremendous pressure. The common misconception that being aggressive or cutthroat is the only way to succeed. Have you run into an agent that thinks that way. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Being aggressive and cutthroat, that's the way to roll. Okay. Why do we want to focus on civility and kindness? Tina, you are looking for a resource. What are you looking for? Wi-Fi. So I see a little Wi-Fi here. Let me see here.
Right. On the.
Oh, voila. Okay, Wi-Fi. 5G password is raising the bar. Hashtag. You got it? Wonderful. Wonderful. So why do we want to look at civility in our business as professionals? Our clients' expectations actually evolve. They do. Clients demand more from us as professionals. They require more. Today's clients seek not only good deals, but also positive, stress-free experiences. We'll have an opportunity to talk about how we can do that in just a bit. Our transactions are relationship-based. They really are. It's not just about a number. I want to make a sale, but there are relationships integrated in that process. Real estate is not just about property. It's about building and nurturing relationships. Hence the mindset that I spoke about earlier. It is so interesting. If you start off with that mindset, it changes everything. It changes how you approach everything. Every phone call you make, every conversation you have. We are in a relationship-based transaction. Sustainability, long-term. Kindness and civility are key to long-term success and job satisfaction. Let me just have you take the floor just for a moment. I'd like to know what you did before real estate. And number two, just briefly, why you chose real estate. Let's just go around. What did you do before real estate?
I do with
And why did you get into real estate?
I honestly, the people part, love that part, and it was something that I could do in the community.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Anyone
Hey,
else?
excuse me, Ramy.
Yeah, please.
This is Tana online. When the people in the audience talk, can you please have them talk louder, or will you please repeat the gist of what they say? Because we have the microphone just for you, and so we don't hear all the talking on purpose. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So she got into real estate for the people. And she's involved in several things. One is a wonderful nonprofit, and you come from the restaurant sector. And she still dabbles in the world of food. But it's about the people. Yeah, wonderful. Who else?
I worked for corporate America for 35 years, and for the last 20, Thermo Fisher Scientific, which is really fast paced, really fun, exciting. The rest of the world was my territory. And I got laid off, but I had already paid bills. I had almost 2 a year because I was gonna do real estate. So when I did get laid off, it was my sign, because I've always loved real estate. And the rest of the world people that I worked with, maybe people in my location didn't know they were going to downsize, but I had established friends in these other countries that gave me information that I knew what was coming, so it wasn't that shocked. But they taught me some wonderful skills and gave me a 6-month severance package.
Sure.
So it was really quite my sign, you know?
Good. So if you didn't hear that, our friend, so what is your name, please? Vicky Hall. Vicky worked in the corporate sector for 30 years, the last stint for 20 years, with a wonderful firm. Well, she was laid off in due course. However, real estate was always on her mind. Why? Why real estate? Just briefly, just tell me why real estate.
But I think the reason I was good with rest of the world was because of the same reason real estate was on my mind, is I don't forget, I grew up very poor.
Mhm.
I don't forget how it first feels when you go through something.
Mm.
So to me, real estate is participating in a huge, it can be a celebration of life and
Oh, I like that.
life change.
Okay.
So to me, it is the people, but it's the journey and also the fact that you can deal with people and make them, our world has a lot of invisible people.
Sure.
And
Sure.
if you treat it right, and I'm not proud to say I always don't behave very well. But
No, you always behave well.
it's like a magic, and those people that are invisible become human
Okay.
and friends.
Did you hear that, Tana? I think she might be on mute. Did you hear that, Tana? Okay, she's gone now.
No,
Temporarily.
we did. Sorry. We heard it.
So you heard it. Wonderful. So I don't have to repeat that. A couple more. You wanted to travel, and real estate would allow you to do that. Okay. She was a teacher, but got into real estate for the lifestyle opportunities. Please.
I kind of have a little funny twist to it, but I have a 25-year manufacturing background. And I was driving 100 miles every day. And I realized that I needed to shift gears in my career. So I went into real estate because it was something to do for myself. And not having to drive 100 miles. Now I drive 200 miles.
Wow.
But I've come to realize that it's always about people and the relationships and the trust between the partners.
Wonderful. Did you hear that, Tana?
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So here's my point. No, I'm sorry, Tina. We've got one more. We've got one more. Thank you.
And I actually had a man in California who has done real estate my entire life. And she's like, listen, you get fired from every job, you don't listen, you can't do your own thing, you should look at real estate. I was like, okay, I will. And that's why I did it, but I stayed because I love what I get to do. I love to be a part of the journey with people, especially the ones who don't think it's possible. And I don't know, just to be a part of that joy and that journey is really awesome.
I hope you heard that because I don't know that. Okay, great. Thank you. If you know Tina at all, you will know that she is a powerful spirit, an independent woman. And the corporate sector doing accounting for the state, I can't picture you there ever. So here's a point, friends. Sustainability We care as professionals in this sector to have long-term success and job satisfaction. It matters. We want to be here for a long time. Civility and kindness will be great contributors to you achieving that exact thing. It creates lifetime clients, and we're going to look at that a bit more. Agreed. So what's the problem? Well, is there any ego in our business? There are some root causes to our ego-driven behaviors in our sector. One is money. High earnings, there's some money to be made. With lucrative deals, there's sometimes a false belief that higher earnings equate to greater personal worth or superiority. Have you run into agents that look down and talk down on just about everybody? I have. Like my very first deal. And I shared that with Rob and Steve when we had lunch a few weeks ago. The problem is also driven by the competitive nature of our industry. The race to get exclusive listings or close a sale can foster an every person for themselves mentality. I have been part of a brokerage where just about the entire culture was this. It drove me nuts. I don't know about you, but it was about who's number one this week? Who's number one today? Just whatever you could do yesterday or did yesterday has no relevance. Who's number one? I mean, they didn't even know your name.
Brokerage for 1 second. If you meet your goals, you have to get blindfolded, folded, and either count of dog food or cat food. And wait. And I laugh. I'm like,
I hope you can hear that, Tona.
I got up and walked out because it's
Wow. Okay. I'm sure you heard that, but she was a part of
Yes.
a brokerage. Yeah. She had to eat dog food if she didn't perform. Wow. And
Incentive.
yeah, that's right. We have training. Don't get me wrong. Just about every brokerage talks about training their people. So there is training in our sector. However, most training in real estate focuses on sales techniques, legal aspects, and market trends. Often there's limited emphasis on interpersonal skills or teamwork or communication. Who disagrees with that statement? I've taken probably 12 DISC training classes. That's a personality training, but it's all outward focused. It's about if you meet the person, the client with this personality or that personality, nothing about how do I grow my skills as a person to serve someone else. I particularly want you to see that broken chain, because when there's ego, there is brokenness in relationships. There's brokenness in relationships. Okay, sure. I'll get out of your way here. You're welcome. How do we see ego in our business? How does it manifest itself? There is miscommunication every day as the business of real estate happens. Deliberately, and agents do this, deliberately withholding information or giving vague details to keep an upper hand. Example, not informing the other agent about a minor issue with the property in hopes of pushing a quicker sale. There are 50 things wrong with that. Have you ever run across someone not telling you all the details constantly? There's just so much wrong with that. One of the critical things about our brokerage here in Presidio is Jen set it up from the very outset. We will raise the bar in our business, in our sector, in our industry. We will raise the bar. So we can control what others do. But we have to have a mindset. We're going to show up in truth. Is it the truth from A to Z? Period. We show up in truth. And all the good things that I keep on saying about Presidio, she leaves the room. So she hasn't heard any of them. Just so you know. Just so you know. Disrespectful interactions. Treating peers, oh, this is so good. And I want to hear some of your stories here, especially those perceived as lesser in terms of position or earnings with condescension or rudeness. Example, snubbing newer agents during meetings or ignoring their input. Does that happen? Constantly.
There's other agents too, I've experienced it in all different ways. A lender, you know, when they start with, how long have you been in the business? Well, I've been in it this long. You know, that conversation is already like, I'm already years close to that conversation.
That's right. That's right. Rob.
The industry where it ends up being unique is the fact that many times we may not, our clients often wonder how much for what we do to earn the amount of money that is possible. And so many times I feel that an agent has to set them apart from anyone else. So it almost has to be a win-lose opportunity for them to say, see what I did for you? See, client, I did this, you got this, they didn't get that. So look at me, I did my job in order for you to get what you need. And so it's that type of a mentality that a lot of people take versus saying, you can have a very successful transaction when actually both parties win-win.
That's right.
And you can have those relationships that you're talking about that end up being a transaction that everybody walks away with remembering and say, that was a great experience.
A win-win matters in our business. That is the overarching goal of every transaction. So first of all, this thing that says signed out here. This Zoom, and did I lose? You have been signed out because you are currently signed in on another device.
Totally fine. You're fine.
So,
You're fine.
okay, so I can just close that there.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. You're awesome, by the way.
That's my job. Thanks.
You're awesome. So I'll just share this story. First transaction, I'm already scared. I'm already intimidated. I get this agent from was it Ogden, like up north? This was for our Morgan listing, right? He calls me and says, okay, what I want you to do By the way, if I didn't, it did not introduce my lovely wife. This is Mindy. He says, I want to sit with your client and present them this deal. So the other agent, yes. No, no. He didn't care. He's going to sit with my client. Rob and Steve know that story. Now, here's the thing. It used to be okay to do that. The old days, that was normal. So he says, you know, I do that all the time, and this is what I've done for years. Not a big deal, but you're going to let me sit with your client. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I am not. That's not okay. That's not okay. Yes, you are. I'm going to call your broker, and I'm going to tell him that you're uncooperative. This is what he tells me. My first transaction, that's my luck, of course. That's my luck, of course. The good thing that you must have in your corner is an exceptional broker. Someone who knows the business, who has integrity, and who has your back. And no dog food or cat food. Okay. It's important to have a wonderful broker. So he calls my broker and chews me up. I'm not letting him meet my broker. If you don't know him, Dave Frederickson taught me real estate. He's my mentor in real estate. Dave had a wonderful conversation with him and said, you are out of control and you need to control your client because your client is calling Ramy behind your back to talk to Ramy. This is not okay on any level. Yeah, so that was a disrespectful interaction because he didn't care what I thought. It happens in our sector. It happens in our business. Oh, I kept going, scared, terrified. But I kept going. I kept going. Overstepping boundaries. I've got that little clock icon there, or whatever that is. I have no idea how that got in the presentation, but we will just read over it. Taking actions without regard for others involved in the transaction, such as, oh, there it is, reaching out directly to a seller when represented by another agent. It just happens in our business. Now, actions have consequences. So what are some of the, so how much time do I have left? So what time is it? Yeah, you're so kind. You're so sweet. I've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes, okay, 10, 15 minutes. Wonderful. There are consequences to this kind of behavior in our sector. There's diminished trust. Relationships built on ego can result in peers and clients being less trustful. By the way, that's a word, trustful, which can adversely impact business relationships. When people sense pride and ego, there's less trust, period. There is less trust. And it will affect your business relationships. Humility has value in our sector, in our business. It matters. It's important. Increased conflicts. Ego-driven actions can lead to more misunderstandings and disputes, slowing down transactions. Please, Jen.
we had the inspector couldn't figure out the furnace, and he did work on it. And he sent the buyer a bill of $500, and the agent told me on the phone yesterday, we're gonna talk about you.
And you'll pass it right.
Or
18 years of my life, of my business, I've never seen someone touch someone else's things that they don't own. Fix it, and then send the bill.
and it's in the bill.
Say, we had to sit the phone down, we go. I just like to go completely out of it.
You took that, so Tana, I'm not sure if you heard Jen, and if you didn't,
We didn't.
okay, so Jen, would you just briefly just come up here? Just briefly, because this is an important story. It's a learning moment.
Oh, I just had an agent call me on one of my listings that they did due diligence this week and they went to an inspection. And the furnace, one of the furnaces wasn't working, so they had the inspector fix it, like do some work on it, and he sent them a bill for 500. And the agent was calling me yesterday to say, we're gonna be passing that bill on to your seller. And I was literally like, hang on a second. I wanted to scream at her and say, you know, I wanted to like have my ego in it, but I was like, hey, calm down. So I just calmly was like, well, the good news is it's fixed, right? So I was kind of like, well, in 18 years, I've never heard of anybody touching something that doesn't belong to them, fixing it, and then sending the bill to the person that it does belong to. But let's see if we can work through this. So it was just a matter of taking your ego out of it.
Right?
Jen responded instead of reacted to what was going on. The initial impulse is to react. Not gonna happen, scream. But she made a choice to respond instead of react. Reduced, this is, of course, this is another negative. Reduced job satisfaction and higher turnover. Look, employees and agents in toxic work environments tend to experience burnout and dissatisfaction, leading to higher attrition. We didn't join this industry to live miserable lives. Okay. That's not why we joined real estate. Okay, and again, ego-driven behaviors lead to lost business opportunities. A reputation for arrogance or unkindness can deter potential clients and limit referrals. That's just reality. Now, employees and agents in toxic work environments tend to experience burnout and dissatisfaction, leading to higher attrition rates. You want to take a picture of that? Oh, she memorized it. Moving on. I think we've just got a couple more slides to go. And then we're going to have a brief discussion. What are the pluses to being civil and kind? What are the benefits? Well, for one, our reputation and credibility. Do you think people talk about you after you are through a transaction? Your clients, the other agent, maybe even the other agent's clients. Do you think that creates a reputation about you in our industry? It does. So just say that louder. And years and years. And why do you think that is? Because you deal with civility. Isn't that wonderful?
It's not professional.
Oh, and we're going to talk about, so that's one of the misconceptions in our industry. Yep, we're going, right. We're going to talk about this. I mean, in fact, just the very next slide. Stress reduction. Example. When agents treat each other with respect, it can significantly reduce the tensions and stress levels commonly associated with real estate transactions. That's a fact. That's a fact. And I hope you get to experience that in your business. Increased opportunities for collaborations and partnerships are another benefit. Example, kindness and civility can lead to more referrals. It can lead to more referrals. A rival agent might recommend a colleague they've had pleasant interaction with. Who has it happened to? Another agent recommending someone to you because they like you. It happens. It's real. Enhance client satisfaction. Clients are more likely to refer friends and family to agents who exhibit kindness and professionalism, not just towards them, but to everyone involved in the transaction. Do you think that your client is watching the way you engage the other side? Your client is watching your interaction with everybody. How you roll, how you show up, your spirit. I have a tough transaction currently. We close next Thursday. Yes. We need a moment for Ramy. We close next Thursday. It's about a $900,000 home. I'm representing both sides. Both sides. And my seller was my initial client. But then the buyer walked through the home, met me and said, would you represent me too? I said, absolutely, it's our privilege. However, we need to do this and that and then this. Okay, great. Navigating a limited agency relationship or a dual agency relationship is not for the faint of heart. Those who have done it, not only do you have to be particularly careful, but there's energy quite often from one side towards the other. And you have to find a way to just lower the temperature and to make it okay. You serve both sides. And the way I have gotten through all of this is by ensuring they understand first, I am their representative in this transaction. We show up in truth. We have and sometimes you have to educate your clients. Everything that happens has to be fair to all concerned. Sometimes they feel that because you represent them, they want more for their side that their side is going to get because you owe them that. There's a way to educate your client that it has to be fair to all concerned. We want the win-win. We want the win-win. Next Thursday, what day is it today? It was Thursday, seriously. Almost done. We're going to California. We're leaving town. Okay. Now, let's talk about the misconceptions, just again, brief, just a minute, just 60 seconds on this, maybe. Mistaking kindness for weakness. These are some of the misconceptions in our business. If you're kind, if you're sweet, if you're gentle, if you're open, if you're civil, you are weak. I had a father like that. Thank you. Thank you, right? I mean, families go through this. And that's a lie. That is a lie.
Boundaries.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Privileged. Corporate.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't. Through brainstorming.
Would you come up here? You know, I want everyone to just hear this. I mean, this is just so good. You know, if it's okay, would you just repeat that for just a few seconds? Just right here, because that's important.
I've had the rare privilege of working in corporate America in both environments. And you will never, ever get the same brain power in the one with no respect that you do with the one that respects people for who and what they are.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, believing that aggressiveness equates to success. Example, an agent who harshly criticizes another agent's listing, thinking it will make their own seem superior, can come across insecure rather than confident. Anytime you criticize anyone else, by the way, it's not just in real estate, in anything. It can make you come across insecure rather than confident. Strategies for promoting, I'm just going to go through this quickly because we've got a quick discussion for another minute. Strategies for promoting civility and kindness. Be aware, be self-aware, recognizing your own behavior and triggers. Jen just gave us a perfect example. She was on that phone and she made a choice. Before I pick up the phone and call anyone in real estate, I do this, friends. I say, how do I want them to hear me? What am I going to sound like to them? How are they going to experience my spirit? I think about how I want to come across. Be self-aware. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Right. Yeah.
And this wasn't gonna solve the problem or fix anything. Okay.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Good. Our broker, Jen, actually educated this other agent and gave her a wonderful thing to learn. Of course. She swore when she got off the phone. Okay. Yeah. So what time do we have? Okay, friends. Yeah. I hope you're hearing this. Stabbing. Okay. Active friends, we're out of time. Active listening is another strategy for promoting civility and kindness in our business. We want to ensure we genuinely hear and understand others' perspectives. Example, taking the time to listen to a junior agent's ideas or concerns can foster a more collaborative environment. Listen to each other. Give each other that privilege of being heard. Empathy, putting ourselves in the shoes of another. That is a strategy. Whether it's another agent, a client, or support staff. If you don't get anything from this training, I want you to remember this. If you can find a way, whatever the interaction is, to put yourself in the other person's shoes, it'll change everything. It'll change everything. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Open communication, addressing issues with respect and clarity. Feedback culture, encouraging an environment where team members can provide constructive feedback without fear or backlash. We don't have that too much in our sector because we don't have big staff, but we do partner with other agents. It's important that we make them feel valued and heard. Okay, last thing, Rob, just another 60 seconds. Last thing, I promise. Scenario, okay? Friends, you've got to pay attention to this just for another minute. Settlement deadline is here. That's it. We're going to be signing stuff, okay? It's here. You, as the seller's representative, you hear that the other agent's client, the buyer, didn't show up to sign their documents with title because they had a hangover from the night before. Additionally, they still haven't yet received the clear to close from underwriting for the third time, and for the third time are requesting to push settlement back several days. Third time. Your client, the seller, is frustrated, of course, and furious, of course, and now wants $20,000 from buyer before agreeing to once again extend the settlement deadline. How can you navigate this with civility and kindness? How can you navigate this? We're right here. Please.
What are your thoughts? I think that let them, because I'm sure if I was their agent,
Oh.
buyer's agent, that's how frustrated they are.
Frustrated they are.
And I just hope I figure out.
Thank you.
First, I think a lot of it starts with the seller. Is you're going to first, they need to know that you are hearing their frustration. And so allow the seller to vent, express what it is that they're, everything their frustrations are. And then at that point, they call it repeating and affirming. So you're repeating what they've said so that they feel like you listened to what has been said. And then you're going to repeat it back to them. And so that they know that you heard what exactly was there. So they feel like they've had the opportunity to vent.
I love that.
So once that happens, and sometimes it may even just take a little bit of time, but a lot of it is also explaining what this process is, especially in today's market. Homes aren't selling like they were a year ago. So this buyer walking away may not be in the seller's best interest.
That's right.
So it's reminding the seller, well, let's take a step back. Explain to me again, what were you trying to accomplish in getting your homes?
Right.
Because right now they're emotional.
Oh, they're mad.
They're extremely emotional, and rightly so. They're emotional. And they forget why they have gone through this process anyway.
Sure.
So you're reminding them again why they put the home on the market at the beginning, why, when this closes, they're able to go buy this, they're able to go buy that. So you have to remind them of why they're going through this.
Love it.
And once they've vented, once they've calmed down, many times they're like, okay, I just need a couple more days and great, let's go ahead and sign it. Now you can go back to the other side and say, hey, I need you to know this is my sellers are up against the wall. They're almost done here. This needs to close. So you're now defending your client's position with the other side. But a lot of the time you can solve the problem with your client first before you need to go to the other side.
I love that. Thank you. I love that.
Vested interest in closure.
That's right.
Well, and I think if there's a solution that we can do right now, then let's try to do that.
Let's try to do that. Friends, you have taught me. Thank you. It was good to be with you. Thank you.
Ramy, thank you so much. Like I said, when I met him, I don't know, a couple months ago,